Hello, everyone. Welcome to CS Kickstart Cal Day event. And first of all, we want to congratulate you and welcome to Cal. And we are super excited to have you here. My name is Reese. I'm a second-year double major in cognitive science and computer science. And also Nella. She's also doing computer science. Hello. We will be the host for today. And Caitlin, can you change to the next slide? Yeah, so few logistical announcement before we start our panel. Please mute your microphone just to help our speakers to better share their experience. And also, like, if you see like people with the CSK background, they are the panelist or host. And feel free to send questions in the Zoom chat anytime, and we will try to go over them during the Q&A session. All right. So Caitlin, do you want to introduce us to CSK?
Hi, so yeah, our organization is CS Kickstart. We host a free week-long program for incoming freshman girls who are interested in computer science. You don't have to be interested in or know you want to major in it or anything, but just having a general interest in it, because our program gives you the chance to explore the major and also an introduction to Cal itself, and provides an inspiring community of women in a male-dominated field. Basically, our ultimate goal is to give girls the opportunity to pursue computer science regardless of the barriers female students typically face during and after the program. We teach Python to give an intro into the introductory classes here at Cal in the computer science major, and also an introduction to the industry. Although our program this year will have to be online, we still plan to have to provide the experiences that we normally give in terms of industry panels, so that you can get a sense of both computer science at Cal and computer science in the working field.
Okay. Can you change to the next slide? So let's start our panel. Our panel is about major exploration for EE or CS students. And all our panelists, they are double major. We're doing like multiple minors. But we want to say it beforehand that please, please, please don't feel the pressure to like, I need to do a double major. I need to find out the minors that I'm interested in. We want you to like, you need to find the best academic plan for yourself. But like before you make such a decision, we hope to like let you know the available option out there. Like there's so many majors at Cal, and a lot of them are great combination for CS. And we're gonna talk about it today. And okay, let's just get started. Can you change to the next slide? Okay. So those are our great panelists, and I think we can just first go around, introduce yourself a little bit, and tell us like, why did you choose CS, Eeks, data science, in addition to your other major and minor, and also like how you combine those knowledge in those two fields. Yeah, so let's start with Remika. Hi, Remika. Oh, I think you're muted.
Oh,
Cool.
I think it said the host had muted all participants or something, but now it's fine, right?
Oh, okay. That's probably one setting. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah, so I can just kind of start. So I grew up in Mississippi, and there's honestly not a lot of focus on the tech industry in general. Like it was just not something that people from my high school went into, because there's not a lot of tech companies, so it wasn't really the cool thing to do. And so it definitely was not, I don't think it was emphasized in like the education curriculum as much, even at the collegiate level. but I did try to take advantage of like what things were there. So I took this class called APCS Principles, and my teacher convinced me to do like this coding competition um, in state, and so I participated in it, and I had a lot of fun, and we ended up winning, and so I got like some scholarship money too, and that kind of is where I started thinking about CS as like a potential major. And then luckily a year after, so this is after I had accepted Berkeley and everything, I contacted like that same company that awarded me the scholarship from the competition, and I asked them if I could do some kind of shadowing thing before I started college, and they actually let me do like a paid internship. So that was really cool because then I got to see kind of a glimpse of what that work is like, and then I realized I really liked it and I wanted to pursue it. But yeah, at the same time I also realized that was not my major. That is not like the major that I got accepted for it in Berkeley. So I came into Berkeley as mechanical engineering and business. So kind of like starting at Berkeley, I kind of knew like I wanted to try to make the switch to Eeks and business, or I wanted to switch to Eeks if I could. And I was able to do that. So if you guys have questions, like you're in a similar position, I can talk more about that. But yeah, CS Kickstart definitely helped a lot at the beginning of college for me because first of all, I didn't know anyone coming into Berkeley from my state. So I mean, there's just a lot of anxiety at the beginning of college, especially like no matter how extroverted you are or like how many people you know from your hometown going to Berkeley, like it's really overwhelming to like meet all these new people, and like there's just a lot of like stress around that. So that was really pretty much taken away from me through this program, because this is a program like before you even start college. So this is like before orientation and everything. And it was just awesome because like I had 50 amazing friends already, so I just wasn't as worried going into college and stuff. And it kind of just gave me a view of like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like we got, at least when I did it, we got to go to like these different tech companies, and we got to kind of we like did kind of like a glimpse into some of the coursework too, and like they helped with that. And then yeah, so it's just kind of, and we got to like learn about the people who are teaching and like their experiences as students. So you kind of just learn like the ins and outs of Berkeley, and like you can make friends, and it's just an opportunity that like I feel like it really helped my transition into college, like more than anything else. So yeah, that's kind of yeah, I guess that's just kind of my journey, like how I got interested in CS and stuff. And I think, was there another question too, like in addition to how we got interested? I think
Yeah,
it was
like,
what our is, right?
yeah, can you talk a bit about your other major, like business, and also like how you combine
Yeah.
those two fields? Yeah.
Yeah. So I came in with I'm in a combined program, so I'm also studying business too. I really wanted to diversify my experiences at Berkeley and just just take different types of classes and like meet different types of people and just see what that's like. And I just wanted to be like business specifically. I wanted to do that because I wanted to be like a better communicator, and just kind of, I found it interesting how a lot of things in business intersect with technology. So I felt like that would be super cool to just kind of change things up from my geek side, I guess, or like my technical degree. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And I think the program is called MET, right?
Yeah, the program is called MET,
Okay.
Entrepreneurship and Technology.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure like even for people who are not in that program, they still got the option to like do this double major.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move to Karina. Hi, Karina.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hi, my name is Karina. I'm a second year at Berkeley. I'm originally coming from Ukraine, and coming to Berkeley, I was like, my intended major was like architecture, and I really wanted to do something creative. After like I took one class in architecture, I decided like not to pursue it. because it required like further like learning in masters, which I couldn't afford and my family couldn't afford. So that's why I started like exploring like different like paths to do. And then I got introduced to like product design through both like CS Kickstart and another like student club at Berkeley. And I kind of got interested in like digital like product creation or like those types of things. And product design is like the fusion of like different fields, including like technical knowledge, creativity, and like looking at different contexts and lenses. So I kind of had to like craft my major in order to like fulfill here and there, but mainly I'm taking creative writing minor just because it's fun, and I love like reading science fiction, or like I love writing, and it's just fun to do, and I don't think there is any purpose of me like doing a minor except that it's fun. But in data science you have to like choose concentration, and my concentration is I'm choosing between like social policy and law because I just got interested in like tech policy. That's an exciting field too. I feel like one prominent thing that I learned through like 2 years in college is that there are so many ways that technology impacts in our lives, from like healthcare or civic tech, working for the government, or like other types of things. So you don't have to like limit yourself to only one path and always like explore. So yeah, that's kind of like that.
Oh, it's a very cool combination to have one major and two minors. Like there's lots of chance for you to explore, I think. Let's move to Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Jenny, I think you are muted.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hi. Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm also not from California. I grew up in Austin, Texas, and I got into CS in the first place because in high school, I was able to do Girls Who Code, which is a program that many of y'all probably know. And it's, for those who don't know, Girls Who Code is essentially like the summer program that just shows you like what fields CS encompasses and what you can do with like CS, robotics, just a bunch of different things. It was a really great introduction, and that program made me realize that no matter what field or careers I ended up pursuing in my life, I wanted to involve tech somehow in that plan. And just a little bit more about me as an artist, I always have like this innate drive to create. So I really relate with Karina in terms of like, I also am a really creative person inherently. And as someone who's also really into health, I wanted to kind of support and give back to my community. And I feel like the fields of computer science, and specifically for me, data science, were ways for me to combine those interests and goals. So you can probably see on the slide, I'm a declared social welfare major, and I am kind of on the fence between either double majoring in public health and social welfare, or just changing it to public health in general. But I hope to major in public health and pursue minors in both global poverty and practice and data science. And I got into data science mainly because of how interdisciplinary and applicable it was to the different fields I was interested in. And something I also want to highlight that Karina kind of touched on was that when you're in Berkeley, when you're at Cal, you'll inevitably be interested in things outside your major and minor because Cal offers so much, and you'll just be hit with these opportunities, and you'll be introduced to those opportunities through CSK, honestly, because CSK was a program that allowed me to not only be with a bunch of like-minded, passionate individuals, but also introduced us to kind of a bunch of awesome professors doing incredible research and a diverse group of undergraduate communities and clubs that did a whole lot of different things that some of our panelists are in right now. So that's kind of why I'm kind of all over the place in terms of like what I major and minor in or what I'm interested in. Is there anything else?
Can you like tell us a bit about social welfare? Because
yeah,
it's not really a common major.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God, social welfare is kind of actually it's a pretty it's smaller compared to like other colleges or departments here on campus. But I think it's underrated because social welfare is it basically kind of is the major for people who want to be involved in social work in some kind of way. So a lot of times people associate social work with like mental health workers, like being involved in nonprofits. For me, because I'm also interested in public health, I have both like I both see like healthcare issues and community health from a population level, but then also on an individual level. And I think social welfare allowed me to also pursue really niche interests I have. Like for me, and this is kind of tying back to why I also like data science. There's always this underlying constant aspect of ethics. Um, and for me, being interested in like the ethics of like public health and surveillance, of data science, of tech, and of like different topics, like what I'm interested in specifically is like human rights and incarceration, like all of those different interests, you can pursue that with like social welfare. Because it is just such an interdisciplinary major, even though it may not seem like it. So just being able to kind of be in that space where you can interact with people who, because they've done social work, they've interacted with a bunch of different communities and gotten to know lots of different people, both like community members and professionals, I think has been really helpful. So yeah.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move to Lily. Hi, Lily.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for unmuting me. I had that question for like being aside. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool, awesome. My name's Lily. I'm a second year majoring in math and CS. And I'm from South Carolina, so I did not come to Berkeley with any background in CS, actually. I had never written a single line of code, full disclosure. But I realized that my high school is like not very techy at all, but people that I looked up to in my high school career all had some sort of background in CS, be it like they probably, most of them didn't major in CS, but had some sort of at least knowledge in how to code if needed, if they need to code. So I thought I would, come to Berkeley and take a couple CS classes and be done with it. But then CSK happened, and then so CSK, I think, sort of introduced me like to a bunch of things that you could do with CS that I didn't know before. And then I started taking CS classes, and eventually, I subscribed to the CS, the CS major eventually. So my other major is math, which is what I planned on majoring in when I came into Berkeley. And these are very different flavors of things to me, because CS is a bit more, I don't know, instant gratification. You're always chugging along, making some progress, whereas like when I do math, it's sort of, you get a huge excitement at the end when you solve the problem, but sort of rocky in the middle. So these two things sort of complement each other really well, that I don't get, too depressed with either one. Yeah, and then I also take a lot of music classes and history classes. They have basically nothing to do with my majors, and I guess I just want to say, like, there's nothing wrong with taking a lot of classes outside your major. I've really enjoyed the like other stuff that I've taken at Berkeley, and yeah. What else? Let's see. As far as like intertwining these two fields, there's a lot of things that complement each other in these two majors, especially because like a lot of CS stuff, as you get into more theoretical work, depends a lot on mathematical concepts, and then math in general is easier if you can code and just like run a lot of calculations without having to do them by hand. So yeah, I think these are like, CS and math is definitely one of the most popular combinations on campus for those who plan to double major. And in particular, math is a pretty short program, and I think CS is, like, compared to a lot of other like more intense majors. as far as like the number of required classes go. So then, yeah, I think they make a pretty good combination.
Okay. I heard you're also like doing a math research. Have you ever like got a chance to use your programming skill in that research?
Yeah, so I do some research, but so far I haven't used too much CS. Like most of the CS I have used in the math is when I like present stuff to people. Then like I can write code to like do some interesting calculations as examples, or even when I explain like more theoretical stuff to people, it's good to have like figures on the screen, and then you can sort of use like like your graphic programming stuff, and just illustrate things more clearly. Yeah, definitely useful.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I guess our next. Okay. Hi, Hannah.
Hi everyone, what's up? Yeah, hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a second year intended computer science and art practice double major. Intended because I'm finishing up the last major recs for both of my majors by next semester. So so I grew up in Southern California. So even though like I grew up in California, where you'd expect like there'd probably be like more access, more opportunities to get some kind of background in computer science. I went to a school with which did, but also I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to take the computer science courses due to because of my family. They wanted me to take EP Stats instead, so that's what I did. But it was also due in part. So I grew up being on a robotics team, but I was primarily a mechanical engineer for our team. So I stayed away from programming because like there was always like an underlying fear that, oh God, like this is like way too complicated for me. This is like, I can't do it. Like I'm not smart enough for this. So for the many years I did robotics, yeah, I didn't do any programming. But when it came to time to like apply for colleges and stuff, I was like, I don't really want to go into mechanical engineering. So with the UC applications, like since they basically allow you to apply for any major, I was just like, okay, why not? I'll just apply computer science. Like it sounds interesting. I'll do it. And then I ended up getting accepted. And then I was like, okay, cool. I'll take like a couple CS classes and I'll check it out and see if it's a major for me. I spent a week with CS Kickstart, which was, I think, it had a huge impact on how I viewed on my perspective on computer science, and also on the computer science program at Berkeley. So I highly recommend that you try applying. And so I took some time. I took CS10 my first fall semester because I lacked the CS is an interesting major in that there can be a huge disparity between like students in terms of previous background knowledge, and unfortunately it does make the intro lower division CS classes a bit wild, because you'll have people that like have like zero experience, have never written a line of code in their lives, and then you also have people who've been doing this since like middle school. So, but luckily at Berkeley, there's a lot of support systems. There's a lot of resources that are available to people that do not have as much coding experience, such as CS Scholars, which is what I'm in. If you guys want me to talk about that, I'd be happy to. And eventually after my fall semester, after taking CS10 and like CSK, I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. Like this is something that I'm not stupid. This is something that I believe that I can truly do, and I like it. So that's why I decided to go forward with trying to declare. And then my other major, art practice, it's pretty like on first glance, it's pretty disjoint from computer science. And I'm not gonna lie, it is a pretty disjoint. I find that my two majors don't overlap with each other very often, but that doesn't mean it doesn't at all. And I decided to double major in art because I was like, I like art, been creating stuff since birth, so I'm gonna do it. And there's enough overlap between the upper division courses for CS and art practice that I'd still be able to graduate on time. So that's why I'm doing it. Yeah, that's it from me. Did I miss anything?
No, like, I think I can definitely relate to your story. Like, I came to Cal as undecided major, and like just because of CSK and also like the CS61A, I try out taking a CS class, and then I think, well, it's a cool major. So like, for everyone's out there who are thinking about doing CS majors, try one CS class and to see if you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think, and also like in the industry, there's a lot of overlap between art and also CS, like computer graphics, computer visions. Definitely a lot to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's move to Anais. Hello.
Hello, hi, I'm Anna Eeks. I graduated in 2019 as a CS major and double minor. I'm currently working at Microsoft as a security software engineer, and I'm really enjoying it. So I kind of got into computer science through CS Kickstart and also through CS10. I went to high school and grew up also in LA. And I had no experience at all in computer science. I originally thought I'd go in to Berkeley as like an applied math major, and I was considering doing something kind of with environment. And then doing CS Kickstart and like meeting a lot of like the professors, hearing about like different research areas that kind of sparked my interest in computer science. And then continuing that through like CS10 and CS61A. Then I realized, no, I really enjoy computer science, and this is what I want to be doing. So I kind of picked up city and regional planning because I was interested in the environment, and just I wanted to like learn more, kind of doing it for fun. At one point, I was considering trying to mix my computer science with doing transportation. However, I was also really interested in security. And I decided to go like the security path. And then later on, when I was doing my upper division, I kind of came across linguistics. I was considering doing a CockSci major as well. And in the CockSci, there are like requirements to do like a linguistics phase, like psychology, this, that. And in my first linguistics class, I was like, wow, what is this? This is so much fun. And I continued taking other linguistics classes, but I never had the time to do like a full major. And I also felt like I got what I wanted out of just doing the minor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Also, like for city and regional planning, it's not really a common major or minor. Can you talk a bit more about that?
So city and regional planning, it's in the College of Environmental Design. And there's a lot of like mixed access. It's kind of about like how the city works, how it functions, why our city's built this way. And I just felt like that was very interesting to me. I really enjoy like traveling, and it kind of gave me like a different perspective to understand cities. And I'd also like learned about like gentrification through city and regional planning. So understanding why the Bay Area is like facing so many different like housing issues and other issues that I got out of city and regional planning. It was just for fun kind of answer.
Okay. Then also, I guess, like, why did you choose to do a minor instead of like just taking a class about?
Yeah. So I never did the major because the major classes involved classes that I wasn't interested in. And as well, since I was both doing it inside of the Letters and Science department and then the City and Regional, College of Environmental Design, they have different requirements for majors. And those classes were gonna like one be too much for me to handle because I was more focused in computer science, and then some of those classes like didn't interest me, so I didn't think it was like worthwhile of me to do the major instead of just doing the minor.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And also, yeah, Anais is a Cal grad, so like if you guys have any questions about like career planning, I guess we can also ask in the Q&A session.
Yeah, feel free to ask.
Okay, let's move to Ellen. Thank you for waiting.
Hi, so I'm Ellen. I'm a second year data science and poli-sci major. I'm intended data science and declared poli-sci. So how I got into like as data science, so I'm also like the last 2 speakers, I'm from Southern California, but I also did not have a ton of experience with CS or anything like that in high school. I have an older sister, and she is 3 years older than me, and she studied cognitive science in college, and so she would like come home and like talk about like coding and stuff like that, and I was like, I'd always heard about it, but it's not something that I was really like interested or aware of. And so when I got accepted to Cal, I saw like on the Facebook page one day like an ad for CS Kickstart. And so since I knew kind of, I was genuinely interested because I had heard my sister talking about like CS and coding, and I just kind of was curious as to like, okay, like what really is this? I like applied and got in and decided to spend a week with CS Kickstart. And at the end of the week, I mean, I had a great experience. I definitely think that CS Kickstart was a great exposure to like what CS at Cal is, and like the courses and like the threads and the people, and it really like humanized the department, I think, for me. So at the end of that week, I was actually intended econ still. Like I was kind of like, no, this is not really for me. And then I had an extra spot open in my schedule that semester, so I took CS10. Because I had heard about it from the girls that I met at CS Kickstart. And then after that, I was like, okay, that was pretty interesting. And so I took 61A. And throughout this entire time, I was still just intended econ, and I was kind of interested in maybe getting cog sci. And so I would kind of describe my entrance into data science as like a stumble into data science, because eventually I got to a point where I think it was the fall of sophomore year, so like this fall, I was still intended econ. I had taken a couple of CS classes, and then I decided on a poli-sci course. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to study. Like, I don't want to study econ. I don't want to study cog sci. I want to study poli-sci. But then I was also thinking, well, then why did I take all of these quantitative classes, these CS courses that I was interested in, admittedly, but I couldn't see myself just doing like data science. I just couldn't see myself doing it. So that's like when the light bulb went off, and I was like, well, why don't I combine these two interests of mine, like political science and data science, and create this kind of balanced curriculum for myself. And so that's kind of how I would kind of describe my journey to this double major. So kind of going into like how the fields complement each other, like for me, I would say that my general interest, like what I like reading about, what I like discussing, what I like learning about, is definitely like political science, current events, international relations. But the thing about data science is I feel like it brings a great like quantitative perspective to it. And also like why data science over CS is because I feel like data science contextualized a lot of those computational things that I was interested in, but I didn't want to be spending most of my time coding. I mean, I'm not saying software engineering's not for me, not interesting, but it just wasn't something that I saw in my future. So that's why kind of data science, I think, with that contextual emphasis. I think some of the panelists have also mentioned the domain emphasis in data science, where you get to take classes in different fields. So this really interdisciplinary kind of curriculum is what led me to double majoring in poli-sci and data science.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And it seems that lots of people like come to Cal thinking about a major and then taking a bunch of classes and then change their mind. Okay, so thank you all for introducing yourself. I think we are gonna ask some like more questions for the double major people first. And So can you guys tell more about like what has been your experience double majoring and like how heavy is your coursework, I guess, and what have been your favorite and least favorite experience? Like anyone wants to start first? Okay, Hannah.
All right, yeah, I can go first. All right, so I think in terms of how heavy your course load will be, it very much depends on what two majors you decide to both double in. Of course, CS slash Eeks is a very heavy major in itself. Not in terms of requirements, but in terms of just sheer workload and difficulty of the classes. For me, in my experience as an art double, art the art major is kind of the opposite. There's a lot of requirements. For there's like 6 lower division requirements for art practice, and then you have to take like 8 upper division and you have 8 upper division requirements. So because there's less requirements for CS, I'm able to fit all of those like requirements into my schedule. However, I will say like 80% of my time is spent doing CS because it's just those classes are just much more demanding. However, that doesn't mean art isn't rigorous in itself either. I'd say the art department is more relaxed, but that doesn't mean you can't slack off, because unlike CS, in art, attendance is mandatory, and a lot of your studio classes will be at 9 a.m. So you have to wake up at 7:30, 8 a.m., drag yourself to class, and then paint / sculpt, do something for like 3 hours, and try not to fall asleep. I'd say, trying to remember like the rest of the question.
Yeah, so like but I guess for when you're taking the art classes, do you feel like it's like a break from all the CS projects, or?
It's like, at one hand it's a break, but also since it's my other major, it's also just like a different set of work assignments for me. But I decided to take both CS and art because I knew that if I just majored in CS, I go insane. Like I cannot just do technicals, like especially with how like insane like some of the like lower divisions can be. Like no, I'm not I'm not devoting my entire life to that. That doesn't mean it's not doable. It's just like for me, it's not for me. And I'd say even though like my two majors are pretty disjoint from one another, like they don't overlap very much, I'd say like the biggest thing that the biggest gift that it has given me is it allows me to present a like different perspective to I guess both communities. Like I I incorporate a lot of stuff that I think about and what I do, like in my CS time, into my artworks as well. I'm pretty. I think my interests in both CS and art are pretty disjoint from one another because in CS, I'm very much interested in like data privacy and security. So, but we discuss a lot of those themes in art as well. So I'm able to use my computer science knowledge to bring a perspective that may not necessarily be as readily accessible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, least favorite is definitely like trying to squeeze all the recs in though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because art is just extremely heavy requirement wise.
Okay, yeah, I guess like another part of the question for you and also for other panelists would be like, what have been your favorite and least favorite experience double majoring?
Favorite and least favorite? I'd say the least favorite part is definitely squeezing everything in. Like my schedule planning, like each semester is like, especially since enrollment is never set in stone. It's always like a dice roll. It's always a dice roll, even if you get priority enrollment. It's still pretty stressful. But most favorite experience wise is that it's like the experience of like meeting, like being able to be a member of these two very different communities. Like CS has its own culture, and the art department has its own culture as well, and it's really interesting being a part of both of them.
I guess it's very crucial to find out what you're interested in and like trying to figure out a schedule. Not really need to do a double major, but maybe for a minor.
Yeah, honestly, like not worst case, but like even if like I'm unable to squeeze everything in, like there's always the option of doing a minor, and just a minor is not necessarily less valuable or less important than a major. You can officially minor in something and still take the same amount of like courses you would for a major, but you just don't have to like abide by like all the stringent requirements that comes along with majoring in something. That's completely possible. Like you definitely don't need to double major in things if you don't want to.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else want to respond? Okay. Hi, Karina. Wait, I'm trying to unmute you.
Oh, hi. I want to add up like why I didn't choose like double majoring and instead of like doing like minoring is that I found like in the curriculum a lot of like majors have like very like basic like unnecessary classes from in my opinion that you have to take just to like declare the major, and I felt like it was like a little bit of waste of my time to do that. So in minors, for example, you have to choose your own classes within the limited scope, but still you have a choice. So but instead, like I just wanted to like maximize the fun classes over the classes that the major, that unnecessary classes that the major provides, you know, like, so that's just a trade-off that you have to take, you have to make, sure. So that.
Yeah, I think like definitely doing a minor is very flexible. A choice to consider. Okay, is there anyone else want to answer this question? Okay, I guess Rebecca. Let me unmute you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess I'd say my experience double majoring is overall pretty positive. Like I think some other people were saying, you get to be exposed to two totally different communities, and like your classes are totally like everything is really different. So I like having that perspective from both communities and offering that, just like I think someone else said too. I think some people in the chat were also asking about like coursework and stuff. So yeah, I think so. Eeks and like both of those majors that I'm in, Eeks and business, are pretty demanding. I'd say I'm similar to Hana. I think I spend a lot of my time, more of my time, on my tech classes. So for me, like if I want to have a lighter semester, like I try to take less tech classes to kind of balance it out. But I guess workload wise, like I usually take 5 classes a semester. Which is like that's not normal. Like I think most people take like 3 or 4 classes, but I found that it's like still manageable. Like I actually like sleep more than I did in high school, so like I don't know, I mean I think college is structured differently, so you can go at kind of your own pace. And I'd say if you're like when you are entering as a freshman, it's kind of, well, I guess there's uncertainty about like how like freshman year, like I don't know, it's kind of uncertainty about the next semester, how that situation will be, but I would recommend to kind of go lighter on the first semester for sure, because there's just a lot of adjustments going on. But yeah, I think my favorite part of, okay, I'll start with my my least favorite part of double majoring is that there's actually less flexibility, right? So, you know, because I have to like fit all these requirements in, so there's like less, like I can't just take whatever classes I want. Like I really have to make sure that I have time to take this class. If not, like I have to, you know, reprioritize and stuff like that. So, you know, like you definitely, like they said before, you don't have to double major. Like even being in this program, and I love, you know, like getting those two different perspectives, but I don't think it's necessary for to do that. Like I think that because you don't have to be that major to still take those classes, right? And you can still get a minor. And a lot of times I think people's perspective about the minor is like, the minor is still a lot of coursework. So a lot of people are like, if I'm going to start the minor, I might as well complete the major. So yeah, I don't think it's necessary to like be like, okay, I have to do these two majors. Like there's, you know, if you just want more flexibility, that's definitely something to consider. Then my favorite part is probably just like, I like taking like classes that are just really unique and different. Like this semester I'm taking a class on the culture and the history of tea, which is kind of like different than a lot of my other classes. I'm also taking like an art from business class. So, you know, even though I mentioned like the less flexibility thing, I still try to prioritize like fitting in stuff that I actually enjoy. And I do feel like my business classes are like a break for my tech classes. Not that I don't enjoy those, but I found that it's really great to kind of have the balance. And, you know, even if you are like, you're not double major, you can still like pursue that and like take classes in other departments and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're also doing lots of extracurriculars and definitely don't really need to worry about the heavy workload, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I think in college too, like your time is allocated differently. So, you know, it's good to like leave a lot of time for like extracurriculars and, you know, whatever you want to, other things you want to do outside of classes. A lot of people spend a lot of more of their time on that too. So.
Okay, thank you. And I think Lily is gonna say something.
Yeah, hi. Hello. I'll be like, I don't know, I'll be really honest about like my majors, because I think double majoring like has been advertised to me as this like incredibly glorious thing when I entered Cal. So like to me, double majoring, like my favorite part of course is like getting to know people from both majors, and there's like sort of a very different feel for the community in each of those departments. Like I don't know, like as a math major I really enjoy being in Evans, which is a very unpopular opinion, and you get to know a lot of like extremely different people, and that's definitely my favorite part. But at the same time, truthfully, it's pretty brutal. Like I've definitely had a lot of really long nights like trying to solve a problem set for math while also thinking about the project for CS that I'm doing. And I think on average I take 3 texts every semester, or 3 I guess not texts, but like very time-consuming classes every semester. So I guess the trade-off is then that if I really want to take some like fun, I don't know, interesting classes with my friends just for fun, there's less like leeway to do so. Like when my friends take classes on like Buddhism together, or like thinking about like taking like 2 different PE classes together, like there's always that sort of, you know, like I always have this alarm in my head saying that, you know, like if I do all these like fun things I also want to do, am I going to finish my major in 4 years? So there is definitely that consideration, but at the same time, for me personally, it was worth it. It's worth it so far. I'm not done with school yet, so it's worth it so far. But it is good if to talk to people that have done like certain combinations of majors. At least for me, like math CS is pretty common, so I can find people to, you know, like talk it through. And then and then that's my least favorite part, having to like not have as much leeway to plan schedules. But let's see, otherwise it's been really good. I think, yeah, I really enjoy like just knowing a lot of people in both majors and interacting with very, very different personalities.
Hey, thank you. Okay, sorry, wait a second. Yeah, Ellen, go ahead.
I guess quickly, just everything that everyone said is very accurate. Like I would say the one thing for me, especially early on when I was still kind of trying to decide what I wanted to major in, it was very, very stressful having to decide, okay, what lower divs do I want to take? So I'll qualify for this major and I can also declare this major. Like at one point, I think I guess my piece of advice for this, like if you are kind of a freshman or a sophomore trying to decide what courses to take, really look at what majors you're considering, see where they overlap, or there's a lot of like lower divs that are applicable to a lot of majors. For example, like data 8 is one of those that like I think probably like 10 or so majors like have that as like a stat requirement. So I would recommend taking courses like that to make it easier on yourself, just in case you do decide to switch your major or you do want to add on a second major. Because I'm kind of in a situation where I kind of took a lot of courses when I was a freshman, like in early on sophomore year. So now looking on like later on, I don't have as much flexibility because I wasted a couple classes on like econ or cog sci. Like I don't regret it, but if you're looking at it from like an administrative point of view, which is another piece of advice I would definitely emphasize, is if you kind of find yourself approaching it as like a checklist, like okay, I have to take this, I have to take that, then that's kind of a situation where I think I would recommend you like reevaluate, because I know for at least for myself, I find myself sometimes like when we're selecting courses for the next semester, just boxing myself in and like feeling like I have to like take this course because it's a requirement rather than it's something that I'm really interested in, which is so kind of goes off of like the general flexibility of it all. So yeah, kind of my biggest piece of advice for people who are maybe coming in with the intention of double majoring is definitely just keep an eye out for that that concrete sort of checklist point of view, and just really listen to kind of what you're interested in, because ultimately it's a degree, but it's really like it's really what you're getting from those classes that maybe will spark something that you're interested in, that you can never get if you're just taking like a super rigid double major kind of path.
Okay. Yeah, I think added to that, like when I was a freshman, I heard a lot of people saying, you need to find something you're interested in. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but like, I think it's very important to like at least try to take some classes in those departments. And that will be the time you know if you like the material or not. Because there are some stereotypes about some majors, but after you take those classes, you will find out, oh, that's not true.
Yeah, exactly. And very rarely will you take a class and feel like you got absolutely nothing out of it. If anything, even the classes that I maybe didn't enjoy as much as others, I learned something. And even if it didn't, like econ, for example, like intro to econ, it doesn't count for anything ultimately for me anymore. But it's something that the knowledge from it is generally useful in some ways. And so I would definitely just recommend taking whatever you are interested in at the time, and then just kind of going from where that takes you.
Okay, I guess we got another question for our alumna specifically. Hi, Anais. So the question would be like, what do you think like doing a major with 2 minors have impacted your career? Is there any benefit, or if there is?
So no, I would like being honest, no, so I am working like in security at Microsoft, and so it's very only security focused, and so I'm just using my computer science like background and like what I learned at Berkeley. However, like doing the linguistics minor and the city and regional planning minor, those are just like personal interests now for me, and so it just kind of like makes like reading the news and this topic more interesting for me, and that's kind of how I see it. And then from looking at like my coworkers, like not all of them like majored in computer science. Some of them did like very different majors, like maybe like English or something like that, and they had like the minor, or they just had the background in it. And it's like ultimately it really should be something that like you're passionate about if you're planning to more go into industry than going to grad school. than being like, oh, I need to have all these majors on my diploma or all these like minors or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I guess, yeah, like personally, I double major in cognitive science and computer science, and I've talked to several Cal grads, and they told me like doing those two majors would be very beneficial to like if you're gonna do like machine learning in future or artificial intelligence. So definitely an option to consider for students out there. Okay, I think we are going to open up to the Q&A. Nala, do you want to take over?
Yep, sounds good. Okay, let's see. So first of all, we have a lot of questions for Ramika. The first couple are, what is MUT and how do you get in? As well as, is it possible to get into MUT if you're not admitted as a freshman?
Yeah, I can speak on that. So for MUT, it's a program where you're admitted as you apply to Berkeley as a freshman. There's no way to get into the MUT program like other than that, applying as a freshman, but it is still possible to pursue business as a major. So like say if you got into Eeks or like your intended CS or whatever your major is, if you want to do business as a major, you have to apply to Haas Business School at the end of your sophomore year, first semester, I believe. So that's kind of a different process. I would definitely look into that if you're planning on it. But yeah, I guess it just kind of requires you to kind of plan out your coursework a little more carefully in that case, but it's totally possible to still do the business major if you're not accepted in the program and stuff. So yeah, I think that answers it, right?
Yep, awesome.
I think added on that, like there's lots of overlap between business and econ. At least that's a lot of my friends here doing right now.
Yeah.
So even if you can't get into the program, like definitely econ is an option to consider. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, yeah, because I think the application process is kind of, I mean, yeah, it's like you don't have certainty about it until sophomore year, first semester. So a lot of people like take econ classes as well to kind of have that flexibility in case just to have that option as well. And a lot of people pursue that as like minors and majors with a technical degree. So yeah.
Awesome. Now open up to everyone. How long does it take to graduate when doing a double major or minor? It's like, can you do like a double major or minor combination in 3 years or 4 years? If anyone has any experience with that.
So I actually have a friend that did 4 majors in 4 years. And she was very like sane and she was very like happy. But I would not really recommend that route because at a certain point, like, I don't really think it's that necessary. I also have friends that did double majors in 3 years and they were able to like balance their life with like extracurriculars as well. It really just depends like which ones you do, how much overlap they have, how you plan your schedule, and other like necessities in your life.
Yeah, I think added to that, definitely talk to your college advisor or your major advisor after you get into Cal, and like they will help you to work on your schedule and everything. So don't worry about the workload. Don't worry about if you're gonna graduate on time. Just first think about what your interests are, and then like there's lots of support here at Cal. They will help you to figure it out.
Agreed. And I want to add on to that, make sure you have like a 4-year plan, even if it's a super rough draft. You can always change it later, but it helps to like make sure you're not overloading yourself with courses at like in your last semester or something. Let's see.
Going off of that really quickly, sorry. I would say that one thing that I don't know if it's open to all. I think it might just be California residents, although it might also be out-of-state residents. But something to keep in mind is you are allowed to take certain classes through community colleges. And so that's extremely helpful because either over the summer or even sometimes concurrent enrollment is possible through online classes through community colleges. Number one, they're cheap, relatively cheap. And they're about, I think it's like $100 per course usually, typically. And so these are completely legitimate courses that can qualify usually for lower divs or breadth courses, and they're through California community colleges. And so if you do find yourself kind of falling behind in your schedule and you do want to still pursue a double major or a minor, I would definitely recommend looking into online community college courses to satisfy some requirements maybe that that you feel like you don't need to take at Berkeley.
Yeah, and also like I'm an international student, so for international students and out of state students, you are also allowed to take classes in community college, just to add on that.
Perfect.
So another question asked is, how academically rigorous is it to double major with Eeks, as well as how much time do you have for clubs and other activities?
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch exactly what you said.
Oh, sorry. The question was, how academically rigorous is it to double major with Eeks? We can also open up to like CS as well. The requirements are pretty similar, I think.
Yeah.
And how much time do you have for clubs and other activities?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say I spend about, this is like a really rough estimate, but like maybe like 20 hours on classes. Yeah, could be more or less depending on if I'm taking a lighter or harder semester. And then I probably spend about like 10 to 15 hours on like extracurricular activities. One thing that's different in college, like I think in high school I was very much like, trying to overload. And I mean, in college it seems like that because I'm doing a double major and stuff, but for me it's really important to like make things easier on myself rather than harder. So like I try to really space out my my difficult classes, and I think that helps a lot, just like planning strategically and stuff like that. I would say also like I spend a lot more time on my Eeks classes and stuff like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and I think the lower divs, like, yeah, I think the lower divs for both, like, I did both of them within my first 2 years and stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Another question asked was, what kind of help is available for freshman Eeks with less coding background, as well as do you get lots of help from your CS classmates? And what are some tips to ask for help?
Yeah, I think for Eeks, sorry, the first question was that, sorry, I didn't catch the whole questions.
Yeah. Sorry, I think my internet might be kind of weird.
No,
The question was, what kind of help is available for freshman Eeks with less coding experience?
okay, yeah. So I know that like CS Kickstart honestly does help a lot with that. I think if like you want to kind of get a head start on like 6UNA stuff or CS10. Oh, CS10 also is something I learned about in CS Kickstart, but that is a course you can take if you don't feel comfortable taking 6UNA and you want to take something lighter. I've heard a lot of good things about that class, so it could be interesting to see that option, I guess. And then I think there's freshman year, I think everyone is like, I leaned on my peers a lot as well, like peers from CSK and some from MET. Like I think it's really good to have a community, but just people are willing to help each other out freshman year. So definitely it's that's one way to get support and stuff. Also there your like TAs, like your teaching assistants, are usually undergrad students, so they're pretty approachable as well. And there's also this thing called CS mentors, which is really good to sign up for if you take CS classes. Yeah.
Hannah, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Sorry, my computer is like freaking out right now. I think she's like tired. All right, so some other resources that you can definitely take advantage of is go to office hours. Office hours are very, very especially in lower division CS classes, there's a ton of TAs and lab TAs slash, well, I think we like to call them in CS department AIs. There's a lot of TAs and AIs that are available to help you at office hours. Definitely go to those. They're very well run most of the time. If they're not so fun. But there's also tutoring. People who take CS 370 also provide free tutoring, minimum of 1 hour. I also say definitely apply for that as well. CS61A and CS61B will usually make weekly posts on their Piazza forums, letting everyone know, hey, the forums for this week are open, sign up now. I say definitely sign up for those as soon as possible so you can land yourself a tutoring session. Also another, if you are a freshman with relatively lower amount of CS experience, I'd say definitely apply for the CS Scholars Program right before you take CS 61A, because once you take CS 61A, you're not eligible to apply for CS Scholars, I believe. The CS Scholars, some benefits to being in CS Scholars is that whenever you decide to take a particular lower division course, you will be placed in at least for CS61A and CS61B, you will be placed in a special discussion section where it will be taught by very, very good TAs. And you will also, if you apply for CS 370 tutoring, you will also get 2 hours of tutoring instead of the standard 1. And CS Scholars also, since you're taking the classes with often the same set of people, you build up a very, very tight support network as well. Like our cohort has a group chat where we just meme on each other all the time. And I say for CS 61A, CS 61B, there's a lot of support from CS Scholars, but once you hit CS 70 and CS 61C, there's a less so. Like there's also less support for EE16A and EE16B as well, but there's a lot for CS 61A and 61B. So definitely take advantage of that and apply.
Definitely. Especially for 61A and 61B, they have a lot of they have so many resources for those two classes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, once you get to 61C or something and upper divs, the resources kind of aren't. Yeah. I mean, there's still resources, but fewer resources.
It's less. There's less. I'd say it's less there's a less established, streamlined system.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, hopefully by that time you're on your feet. So yeah. I'd say Berkeley does a really good job of helping students who haven't had prior CS experience, because they're beginning classes have they focus a lot of their resources on those classes.
They put a lot of resources into trying to shrink the disparity between students in the CS classes, because the disparity can be quite big.
Yes. Okay, onto a question about a 5-year master's. John asked, does double majoring or minoring affect doing a 5-year master's?
I can't answer that. I don't think so. Just because if you can finish, again, once you get in, talk to your college advisor, talk to your major advisor. They're much better than us to answer those more technical questions regarding those program applications. And also add to the previous questions, I see in the chat like lots of people mention like, oh, how to find those programs like CS mentors. How do we sign up? Like you join a class, those resources will be posted on like weekly assignments, and so like don't worry to miss it out. But like for the CS Scholar program that Hannah mentioned, definitely apply. Like definitely search it on Google somewhere. Hopefully Hannah can provide a link later. But like because the deadline is, I think it's before the semester start. So like, yeah. But other than those, most resources will be notified like each week through classes. So don't worry to miss out.
Yeah. And then a follow-up regarding the 5 years master's program. Is it true that the master's program in Berkeley is through the phone application and isn't guaranteed? Or is it true that like, does anyone here have experience applying to the master's program or know people who applied? And is it true that it's not guaranteed, like admission to that program isn't guaranteed? Cool. Renee is to say
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry. My friend from the club, she was a senior like this year, and she applied. She wanted to like apply to like masters. She was like CS major and a double major in CS and like energetics or something, some sustainable energy. And then she wanted to apply to like masters after the college, and she got rejected. And this is really unfortunate. I don't know how does it work, but just to answer the question, I don't think it is guaranteed. Yeah. Also, I wanted to like add up for the resources. There are many resources for like disadvantaged people in a way. If you are like coming from like low income family, or if you are like a first generation college student as I am, there is like a great resource. It's called Educational Opportunity Program, and you just have to apply there. Not to apply, you just have to fill out the form, and then they will like send you like regular emails, or like it's kind of like a great community where you can get like a lot of resources, including like peer advisors or like mentors on the way. Yeah.
Makes sense, makes sense. Okay, we're gonna have someone ask a question directly because I'm having a difficult time interpreting it. Okay, Efrain, you have been unmuted.
Hello. Hi, everybody. So my question is, I was told that Berkeley and Cal Poly offer, like, as you go in, so I'm a transfer. So as going in, you get your bachelor's, but you also could pick up an additional master's for like 1 more year. I was told that, and I'm not sure this is where I need like your guys' input, that it's through the like Fung Institute or something to that. And is it 1 year, and is it guaranteed or not? Because Cal Poly kind of with them, you just apply and just do 1 more year for master's. So I'm not sure how Berkeley side works, because that's kind of also a deciding factor. Thank you.
Yeah, so for the 5th year master's, it's not at all guaranteed. The way it works is, I think it's like by October, or like maybe, I think there's 2 different phases to apply. One is like October and one is in the spring for it. But I may be wrong. It's really based on if you've been doing research, and they're like, because it's a master's, so it's all about research. And if there is a professor that will back you, so that you can continue doing your research. So not guaranteed. There's a lot more demand than what they can give you. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Moving on to more about double majors and minors. What is the difference between a double major, a simultaneous major, and a minor?
So a double major tends to be in the same department, And when you're doing a simultaneous major, it's when you're doing it in two different departments. So you might be doing it in the College of Letters and Science, and then also in like the College of like Environmental Design. So that's the only difference between the wording.
Cool, cool. And I think we kind of covered double major and minoring. With like minors tend to have a couple fewer classes than a double major would. Someone asked, what is the difference between computer science and data science?
So I guess I can talk I know a little bit more about the data science side, but I would generally describe it. Data science is essentially computer science with a lot more statistics. So I guess kind of the structure of the two departments, a lot of students will intend to do a CS major and then end up doing a data science major because a lot of the requirements are very similar. And I know a lot of CS classes can count towards data science, but I think data science in itself, there's a lot more flexibility with whether you want to kind of focus on like CS or statistics, or even like math, for example. I guess, I would generally describe data science as a more statistics, interdisciplinary focused not version of CS, but just kind of a mix of stats and CS.
Agreed. It's like if you look on the data science page, you'll see a lot of like they require you to go into like an interdisciplinary field, whereas CS you can get away with taking purely CS software development classes all 4 years. Okay, someone asked, would you recommend taking CS 10 before 61A if I only have a bit of CS experience during high school?
Oh, I can answer that. So like I came to Cal with almost like 0 CS experience, but I skipped CS 10 and just take 61A in my first semester. And it's definitely doable, like lots of resources offering the class. And yeah. But like also like if you feel like you want a more smooth transition to college, definitely consider CS 10.
Yeah, I totally agree. And don't think that you'll fall behind if you take CS 10. The CS major is doable in I think like 3 years or something. So if you won't fall behind or anything. A lot of students take 61A the spring of their freshman year anyway. So yeah. That said, I feel that CS 10 is for folks who have very, very limited to no programming experience, whereas 61A assumes like little programming experience and like no programming maturity. So kind of, yeah. I would say enroll in both classes and then see how 61A is going for like the first couple of weeks. And if you think it's too hard, drop it, take CS 10. If you think CS 10 is too slow, drop it and take 61A. Enroll in both and see how it's going.
So this strategy can be applied to other majors if you are interested in.
Yeah.
If they're like Psych 1 or Anthropology 1, like definitely consider them. Okay, I think Hannah wants to add something.
Yeah, I'd say like if your schedule isn't so tight, and you have very little background in computer science in general, CS10 is a great way to like ease you into like the logic of computer science. Computer science operates on a very operates on a very different mindset than I think other studies sometimes. So CS10 really eases you into that. Additionally, CS10 also prepares you for some materials in CS61A. So CS61A can go at a breakneck speed sometimes. And if you take CS10, you'll find yourself in certain units. Your friends that haven't taken CS61A will be like, recursion, runtime, I don't know what's going on. And then because you've already taken CS10, CS10 devotes a fair chunk of time to those topics like recursion and runtime. So you'll find yourself much better prepared in those topics than your peers sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just another thing to add on to this topic. So a lot of the computer science classes have websites that are public online. And so you're able to look at like the lecture slides and kind of have an understanding of what will be taught in those classes and see like which one you prefer.
Yep. Ellen, did you want to add something as well? Oh, let me unmute you.
I just want to add that kind of like going off of what Hannah said, the basic kind of difference or the main purpose of CS10, at least for me, what I felt like I got out of it is it really instills a very like deep understanding of what computer science is at its like nitty-grittiest. Like there's like a lot of like metaphors and stuff like that to make it easily digestible, so you really get an understanding for what computer science is. And I think when I took 61A and 61B, it made everything else it gave me a nice foundation, I would say, to make CS less technical and a little bit more wholesome in that sense. But I would also want to add that if you do want exposure to Python, but you don't necessarily want to take CS10, I would recommend Data 8 as a great alternative, because I think I've mentioned this, it's a huge prereq for a lot of majors, and two, you use Python and it's in a very interesting capacity, and it kind of exposes you to like what the applications of Python can be. So I would definitely recommend Data 8. Yeah, and also for CS10 and 61A, I want to say those are two classes that typically don't fill up, especially CS10. I know for sure that's something you can enroll in like a week into the semester. So that's definitely no pressure there with time. And then I think somebody asked in the chat when the drop deadline is, and typically you have, I think it's like until the 3rd or 4th week of the semester to drop a class without any consequence. So definitely like that's an option if you want to take like three weeks of both and then drop it after whatever.
And also like really want to add on that, we mentioned like lots of info about like drop deadline and also like those course numbers like 61A, CS10. If you feel like it can be hard to take notes, but like don't worry about it. Again, when you come to Cal, talk to a major advisor. They know all this and they can like walk you through it like in a more systematic way. Yeah.
And also just like a quick side note, if you take 61A, they tend to have their first midterm before the drop deadline and release grades before the first drop deadline, just so you can, like if you realize that, oh, like this isn't for me, you can drop it right after the first midterm. No consequences.
And also true for many other majors.
Yeah.
Hannah, do you want to add anything?
I just want to say like one more thing for one more thing for CS10 is that it's like Ellen said, it's very wholesome. It's very wholesome. You will a great thing about CS10 is that if you feel that you lack the confidence to be able to succeed in a major such as computer science, because it can be brutal. Like Berkeley CS can be brutal sometimes, not gonna lie. CS10 I found it very inspiring. Dan Garcia, the professor I took it with, he's literally the best. I love him so much. I also had CS61A with him, so that was really fun too. And I'll be taking CS61C with him too next semester. So great guy. Also, I found that the core staff for CS10 are very much share the same vision and like the same like beliefs as Dan. So I found CS10 to be like just really supportive and like just really wholesome and inspiring.
Thank you all. Yeah, and I also like see some questions in the chat asking about CSK. Like in that we do lots of fun stuff. We have, I think, yeah, we have some technical workshops that prepare you for those like basic CS classes. I mean, intro CS classes. because our program is like before the semester. So like you will, even though you have no background about CS in high school, you can still know a bit like how to study computer science, like how those basic syntax works before you even take like CS10, 61A, stuff like that. And also like we will provide lots of, we'll also ask like CS professors to come to our program. So you will actually have the chance to meet them before the semester start. Like, I think many of you guys know that Cal has large classes, but like during our program, it will be like a more small discussion kind of opportunity to like actually like talk to those professors and also industry professionals. Yeah, and there's a lot more for us to offer, and definitely check out our, thanks Nala for sending it in the chat. Check out our website. If you have questions, send us an email. And also like there's our Instagram, Facebook, follow us. And also the most important thing, we have a mailing list. Even though our application hasn't opened yet, like please sign up for the mailing list, and we will like let you know once the application is out. Yeah. I think that will be end of our panel. I think all our panelists could maybe like stay on the chat for, stay in the meeting for like 5 or 8 more minutes. If you have more questions, feel free to post it in the chat. And otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And thank to all the panelists for like sharing your journey, your stories, tips, and suggestions.
Yeah, I think if you guys have any more questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Hope to see y'all at Cal next, maybe not fall semester, maybe spring semester, but hope to see y'all at Cal.
Yeah, go Bears, and apply to CSK.
Yes.